Welcome to our live training session number 49. We're going to be learning how to tune a Datsun Z car with an LS7 swap using HP Tuner software. Let's jump into some details about our vehicle. The engine is going to be a Texas Speed 440 cubic inch turnkey package. So Texas Speed has built the entire engine. It's going to have ported LS7 cylinder heads. It's going to have forged internals, approximately 11.5 to 1 compression. It has a Texas Speed Stage 4 camshaft for an LS7. It's going to have all the internals done, so all we need to do is drop it into the car and then literally tune it and be able to make a bunch of power. Now, the intake manifold has been upgraded to an MSD style intake manifold for the LS7 heads. It has an LS7 stock throttle body. It has a custom cold air intake. It has 2-inch primary long tube headers and dual 3-inch exhausts. So the setup here is pretty basic, but it is going to make a decent amount of power because the engine has a little bit higher compression, has a little bit better cylinder heads, and we're going to find that the displacement has been increased beyond what an LS7 is going to come from GM at. Now, we're also going to find on the fuel system side of things, we have 50 pound/hour injectors, dual fuel pumps in a fuel cell, and we're going to have all new lines ran for the car. It has a fuel pressure regulator, external regulator with a return line, and it's going to be vacuum referenced. So we're going to have to program and set up our injectors a little bit differently for this particular application. We're going to take a look at doing our mass airflow calibration, going in and learning how to do our idle control tuning with a big camshaft, doing speed density tuning, and then going through and putting everything together to make sure the car is going to be calibrated right, just as the way GM would have intended. So we're going to have a lot of things to cover here. Let's jump into our live training session so we can start creating our base calibration file and get started with our process. Welcome to our live training session here with our LS7 swapped 280Z. Now, we just went over all the details of the vehicle. Let's jump into our VCM editor software so we can do a read on our PCM and start to do the calibration process. So the very first thing we're going to do here, moving into our VCM editor, we're going to go up to the top. We can find we have this icon right here. It's going to be read vehicle. This is going to allow us to read the file out of our PCM that's been flashed onto this. Now, this has been tuned, has some kind of a flash tune on it already. We're going to be starting off with that and potentially undoing a lot of changes because this vehicle runs really poorly. I'll discuss that here in just 1 minute. Let's go up here to read and let's click the read button. Now, I do want to note, I have the key on in the vehicle. I have my MPVI2 cable plugged into the OBD2 port, which is plugged into my laptop. So I'm streaming that information. I'm ready to do a read out of our OBD2 port. You have to make sure that you're in that status. You can't just do a read if you're not connected to your PCM. Let's go up here and do read vehicle. So we can see we have a read button here. I'm going to click read. Now, this process takes a few minutes. 2-3 minutes is pretty normal for the read process. We can see right here, 2 minutes, 35 seconds. It's estimating for the total time to do the read. So while it's doing that read process, let's discuss here what's going on with this particular vehicle. So this has a crate engine. That's a built engine that's been done from somebody that specializes in LS engines. Now, this is a turnkey package. So what was supposed to happen here, they got this crate engine that was $20,000, $30,000. It had a tuned PCM, so all they had to do, or advertise, all they had to do was swap it into the car, turn the key, and drive it. That's not the case. This vehicle runs really poorly. It runs a little bit rich, and it stalls all the time. So what I'm suspecting here is that somebody did a really kind of half-assed tune on this car on the engine dyno, and they got it to do what it needed to do, and then they said, okay, whatever, ship it, and now somebody has to go in and actually fix all the little detail things that aren't right. So what we're going to be doing here is looking at a stock equivalent Z06 file just so we can see what's been changed, comparing it to this file, and then we can go in and make some update changes. I know for a fact there's probably incorrect things, like injector scaling is most likely incorrect. We'll see what other things we find in here. So we're going to essentially work with this file because it's been licensed through the MPVI2 cable for HP tuners here to this PCM. I don't want to pay another relicensing fee, so it's why I'm going through the hassle here of just starting off with this file. Now, you're going to be in this situation probably a lot of times. If you're going to be tuning your own car, this may not be a factor. If you're going to be tuning clients' cars, this happens to me almost every car. It's been tuned somewhere else, it has some kind of a flash tune on it, and I'm undoing incorrect things that have been programmed within the ECM and trying to get the ECM programmed and flashed just as GM intended it. So we're going to be stripping away all the layers here and really focusing in on getting this thing dialed in. Now, this does have a really large cam, so it's going to be challenging to get the idle right. We're going to go really in depth here, taking a look at the idle control in the next video once we get it fired off. This video, we're going to go through the calibration file and just make sure it's 100% ready to go and there's nothing that we're overlooking or that potentially could cause us a problem in the calibration process, because again, we're starting off with a file that we don't know what someone else has done and turned off or turned on or calibrated in any of the tables. So we can see here, we still have about 24 seconds left. What I'm going to do is just stop talking right now. We're going to let it finish off doing that read, and then we're going to be saving the file and continue on. All right, so it just finished that read process here. We're going to go and save this in its own dedicated folder. So in my documents folder here, I have a subfolder for HP Tuners specifically. We're going to find it right here. And this is, in fact, when you install your HP Tuners suite here, your software suite for the VCM editor and VCM scanner, you're going to find that it's going to auto default install into your documents folder here. So I have an HP Tuners subfolder. Within here, I have my logs and tunes, settings, and VCM scanner. We're going to go to logs and tunes, and then here I have custom tunes, and then I have samples. Those are the sample files they provide with the software installation. Right here, this is the file that I went into the repository and I looked up a 2009 Corvette Z06. So that's what we're going to be starting off with, because this is pretty similar to what we're working with here. Although the engine internals have all been changed, we'll find that this PCM did come from a Z06. So what we'll find is some of the programming in there is something we can reference and just make sure that there's no kind of oddities or something that somebody else put in there that wasn't quite right. We're going to figure out what's been changed. So I have that right here. What I'm going to do is create a new folder here within this logs and tunes folder. So in here, I'm going to go new folder, and I'm going to call this EPA. We'll say Datsun LS7. And then I'm going to grab this Z06 equivalent file. I'm going to drag it into my folder here, just so I can keep it all within the same folder. Then in here, I'm going to be saving this file that we just did the read out of as original. This is really important. You always want to save the original file, even if you don't plan on ever using it. It's going to be important because if you make wild changes to it or a lot of modifications and you want to go backwards, you have no way to go backwards. So I'm going to go here and just type in original. Now, what I'm going to do here, since I have this saved, is take my next step here and just go to File, and let's do Save As. And we're going to be just calling this original modified. And that way, whenever I make any update changes to this, I can make it to this file, and then I don't have to worry about overwriting my very original file. So let's just do save. That's always my process. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.